Hi everyone, Paul Morbid here, Morbid Team Entertainment and Bolex Repair Philippines. So you want to buy your first projector and you're wondering what to look at and what to stay away from and what to get for your first projector. Well, many people might tell you, and I'd have to agree with them, just this type of projector right here. Although for some of us it may be our favorites, this one would be one to stay away from, and I'll get into and explain to you why. So let's get to it. So first off, you want to stay away from models from the 60s and back, basically just like this, okay? And I'll turn this around and I'm going to show you exactly why we're going to do that. We're going to unscrew it right here. Now for me, these early Elmos, apart from being all metal that I like, it also unscrews very easily to work on at the back right here. You just simply go right at the back, unscrew that, and remove this cover. Just like that. So it really is from the projectors of the early 70s and back that are a fire hazard. You can even see here the darkness of the wrapping. So you're gonna need to have this changed, transformer like this changed and redone. All right, moving on. Okay, here's why these models from the 70s, early 70s and back are a fire hazard. Have you noticed the problem? This located right here is prominent in early Elmo models as well as earlier models of projectors also. It's right here on this component. The green corrosion and the white. The white would be zinc, okay, and the green would be copper. So what's happened here is over the decades from heating and cooling, okay, the copper wires and from the transformer are just going out. They're going dead, okay? Moisture, air have penetrated the transformer and it needs to be replaced. There are companies online that can do this and people online who can do this, and they can replace the transformer, make a new one for you. And that is the way to go. Otherwise, what's going to happen is this. You got one of four things. One, it's going to cause a fire. Two, it's going to explode in your face. Three, it's going to trip a breaker in your house. Four, you're going to be in your house at night, very possibly, and all four of these things are going to go on with a fire from this unit. So that's not a good thing, okay? Moving on. So for safety precautions, it will be wise to wear a pair of these. And I'll have something more for you that's even more important for safety precautions, especially if you're going to be collecting a lot of these movie projectors. One of the most important tools I suggest you get is a variable power supply. What you can do is hook it up to your projectors. If you're going to make these an addiction, and collecting projectors can be an addiction very fast, and safely increase and turn it up on that power supply and test it. Test the projector. Check and see if you can detect any smoke, any issues whatsoever. If so, you can stop. That is the best way to do it, besides frying everything, any type of issues like I was speaking about before. That is going to be the safest. You know definitely you're going to have to replace those transformers to begin with, and parts of the power supply and the wiring within the machine. That goes without saying. However, to do an initial test, a variable power supply is the way to go to completely and continuously test all these units without causing a lot of issues. Remember, these projectors have not had power ran through them in decades, more than likely. so it's much more safe for the machine, your home, and you to do it this way and test it. Just test it slowly. I'd say turn it up just a little bit every 10 minutes, 30 minutes, for an hour. That should do it. All right, moving on. Okay, so I've talked a lot about what's not wise to get in a first-time purchase of a projector and what to look out for that you don't want. And I've also went back and forth and talked about the positives and negatives of this from vintage movie projectors from the early 70s and back. So now, personally, I like the early 70 models and back, even though I know I'm going to have to replace all these, like the transformers, some of the wiring, the belts, you know, things like that. I prefer the majority of the metal parts in there, okay? The later projectors have a lot of plastic parts. These Elmo projectors are really good. They're very basic. There's a lot of the models. Also, depending on what country you're in, you can switch the power. Here you have from 100 to 110, okay? And I have other Elmo projectors that go further. Go to 220, 240, that type of a deal. All right? And this works out really, really well. Moving on. Just to give you an example of early parts, metal parts, here's this main drive belt. And as you can see, it is a spring metal. You can even hear that. I like that. The later models of these belts are rubber. Here you can see you have one plastic gear so far, and down below these rubber belts, they're still doing pretty good after all these decades, but yes, they will have to be changed. Also in here, something interesting I want to show you. This particular Elmo has a button right here to open it up on the front. Just press it. Just like that. Pull it back. And then you can start to see the inside beauty. And here are some features. This one that I got was exceptionally clean. I was really, really surprised. Generally they don't come this clean. But here, around the reels, rollers for the reels is very clean. And the rest of the projector, as you can see it. The electronics are expected. I always expect that. Okay? But the glass is good. And there you go. One thing I don't suggest that this one has that Elmos are guilty of is an auto start. I'm not very fond of an auto start. They tend to chew up your film. The solution to that generally is to buy yourself a bunch of white leader for your film and add, I would say, a good 2 feet. That's right, 2 foot to 3 foot of leader on that film. That way, when you load everything through here, all right, or any type of auto start projector that you get, okay, and then you press auto start, it will only chew up the leader. So that's a good solution to that. All right, moving on into here where the lamp is. Simply press down on the button and pull back. When you do this gently and careful. The lamp is in here, and these things aren't cheap. All right, there's the lamp. Although this projector works, this projector lamp is dead. And the only, here's a big negative here. These lamps are in the excess of 100 American dollars. Next. For those of you interested in the bulb, I'll go ahead and pull that out right now. Just pull straight up, just like so. There is the bottom. Okay. And I'll go ahead and show you the inside of that. There you are. Okay. Also, what I was saying, I'm going to show you something different and interesting. Take a look in here. The fan. This is what you want to check. You want to have the seller send you photos, of course, but these early models have metal parts, and this fan is metal. Okay? That's always good. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this bad bulb. And you don't have to push too hard at all. It slips right in there, by the way. And it's in there easily just like that. As you can see here, it's clean of rust. You want photos of areas and places like this. Okay, right inside here. It's free of rust. All right. Here, pull it back. So back behind the plate there, everything's free of rust. These are all things you want to ask and request photos from the seller. The less parts you have to replace, the cheaper and better off you are. But again, these Elmos, there's a lot of these projectors floating around. So you shouldn't have too much trouble locating parts. Okay? Close it, push it back. This lamp cover requests that the seller removes it. It's easy to do. Show them the video. You want to check for and have them send you photos of this glass here. It will be cut in 3 sections. It's normal. It's supposed to be like that. 1, 2, and 3. All right? So that's 2 half moons and 2 crescents and 1 horizontal, if this is your first projector, essentially. All right, make sure it's in there. If not, they're kind of easy to get on online markets, but not that much. They're fairly rare. All right, it's best to make sure it's in there and make sure it's not cracked. Now we're going to reinstall this. There is a little lip that's going to fit down in here, of course, and this is fairly easy to reinstall, even for an old man like myself. Be careful when you do this. You can crack the lamp if you don't do it right. Okay? And remember, you don't want to do that. Those lamps, again, are the excess of at least $100 US. Okay? Some people are even starting to DIY a cheaper method, you know, to replace that. Can't blame anyone. All right? Here's the front cover. This one particular I locked up on pretty well. I was really surprised again. Took a look at the inside, and I was really taken back. Look at that. Apart from the projector, look at there. How intact and how clean. Let's take a closer look and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Anytime you can get the original reel and the parts, this just slides right out and lifts just like that. There you go. Okay. No rust. Amazing. You know, It's really great to get a find like that. However, even though you find something like this, the value of this projector is just $30 American at best, because you got to replace, you know, the transformer and that wiring. That's the heart of everything, is the electronics, of course. Okay, flip it around here. Now I'll show you some other stuff. And some other original parts. And I want to show you the power cord. It's so clean. It's unbelievable. Plus, do check the power cord. Have a seller send you a video and you check the power cord. I'm going to take this out. Look how clean and shiny, new looking this projector cord is for this Elmo FP. And this is an Elmo FP, by the way. Have the seller send you photos and you take a look at it too to test it. Look up in here. Look for any sort of cracks, melted parts. Here, cracks or melted areas. Take the cord itself and bend it and check for cracks. All the way through it. Go through there. There are companies online that do sell these cords. By the way, if you want to look at this particular 4-pin power cord, here it is. There are different versions of this cord with different versions of the FP projector as well. All right. Next, here's some more information for those of you who may need it. So there you are, a bit wiser on what to choose from and search when you're buying a new or your first projector. All right? So, do contact me at the social media outlets provided on the screen, and remember, as always, down there, where is it? There's my finger. Do subscribe. Until next time, see ya.